Hi everyone, Shannon with Apogee the Moon, bringing you another weekly forecast. This one is a little bit different. I'm extending it out to that from the 7th to the 15th. So I'm going to extend it out to that new moon because I feel like all the events that are happening in the astrology this week are leading up to that new moon in Scorpio, and that new moon is actually going to be a super moon, which is kind of interesting to me, just because the full moon was at apogee. Aha, right? See what I did there with my name and my business. So this last full moon was at apogee. It was a mini moon. This new moon, which new moons are always bringing you something brand new is coming into your life, or a new beginning somewhere in your life. This is a super moon. So this is at perigee, which means the moon is going to be at its closest to the earth. So there's going to be more tides, there's going to, higher tides, there's going to be more storms, there's going to be, right? So when the moon's at perigee, it generally heightens everything. So if you look at what has gone on through this last week, the beginning of November through, October 31st through the 6th of November, and look at how people's emotions have been heightened, and people have been amping up anxieties, people have been amping up all of these things. It's because as the moon moves through the zodiac, it goes from its furthest point from the earth to the closest point of the earth with that new moon in Scorpio that's coming up on the 15th. Okay, so I just want to touch on that a little bit, and let me know down in the comments if you want to know more about the moon and how it transits, and what that means for, especially for women, or people that have really strong Cancer in their chart. So it makes a difference, no matter if you're man or woman. If you have a lot of Cancer, generally the moon has more significations for you than anyone else. If you're a woman, it still has significations for you, because as women, our cycles should be linked up with the moon. Okay, so just that little caveat. So if anybody wants to know more about the moon and its cycles, and you want me to do a special video on that, leave a comment in the box below. So we are going to share screen. If I can ever get this so that I do it quickly, and there. Okay. So as I said, November 7th through the 15th, this is super important. And the reason this is super important is because all of these aspects, the Venus in opposition to Mars, the Sun trine Neptune from Scorpio, Mercury moves into Scorpio, and then we have the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. Mars will station direct, which is really important for this new moon because Mars is a co-ruler of Scorpio. It's the traditional ancient ruler of Scorpio. So anything Mars does has an effect on Scorpios or Scorpio suns, Scorpio moons. If you have any heavy placements there in Scorpio, it's going to have an effect. Okay, because Mars does only go retrograde once every 2 years, whereas Pluto is retrograde half the year. So it's one of those things where Pluto is more of an internal psychological manifestation. It's right, and Mars is more that outward physical representation. So then on Saturday, we do have the Sun in sextile with Pluto and Jupiter. And then on the following day, we have that new moon in Scorpio, and then Venus is going to be in an exact square with Pluto. Whew, man. So like I said, all these aspects that are going on are really leading up to that full moon, may as well call it a full moon. It's a super moon. It's a new moon. So this is a new beginning, but it is an intense new beginning because it's at perigee, right? So we do have, significations for a really intense new beginnings in the area of Scorpio in our charts. So I will get my notes up here. I didn't do that. Silly girl. So All right, so with the aspects that are being made, so we're going to move this so I can see here what I'm talking about. So on Monday, on November 9th, Venus does come into an opposition with Mars. Now Mars, because Mars is only a few days away from stationing to go direct, he is literally crawling, barely moving, if at all. Like when a planet stations, it pretty much stops moving in the sky. Like it looks like it sits still. It looks like it does not move. And so with Venus in opposition to Mars, yes, Venus is in her home sign. It makes her stronger, but Mars is at its closest to the Earth that it's been for a long time. And Mars being retrograde, any planet being retrograde means it's closer to the Earth. Okay, so there's more of an influence with Mars on the Mars side of things. So with this, you know, both of them are strong. Venus is the ruler of Libra, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. But this aspect of Venus being in opposition to Mars can cause arguments. Imagine that. And disputes and issues surrounding relationships. So this is the opposition, though, because Mars is so intense, it might be harder to balance that energy. And so Venus is a feminine, Mars is the masculine. So, and by that, like a lot of people say, oh, masculine and feminine. Well, masculine is action. Masculine is the physical exertion that it takes to do something. Feminine is receptivity. It's the listening that you do. It's the taking in of information that you do, okay? Now, this aspect, because Mars is retrograde, this can cause arguments and disputes and discord. And what we need to do is try to balance those two out. Ultimately, that's what this is. And this aspect can see people jumping to conclusions, making unrealistic demands on others without forethought or completely thinking things through as to what they're asking, why they're asking. There's no introspection. There is, but there isn't. It's more, I want it because it's Mars. Mars is very much that quick reactionary energy. Retrograde, this could be a little more intense because he is stationing. And so the anger is going to ratchet up a notch, right? Or like dialed up to 100, really. So feelings are easily hurt and people tend to retaliate harshly. So also we have to take into consideration that both planets, because of where they are, they're in square to that stellium, not an exact square, thank goodness, but it's still sign-based square, and it's still within orb of being square to all those planets. And so this can also influence that opposition and cause undue pressure and suppression, right? I mean, Saturn is very much that limiting force and suppressing and whatnot. And this can see us suppressing our true emotions, suppressing what we want to say. This can be a very unbalanced, unbalanced, you show the anger, but you don't show what's underneath the anger, right? Because generally people aren't angry for no reason. There's another emotion that lies buried underneath all the anger. And this can see people lashing out. This can see people blowing up their friendships, attacking strangers' opinions, friendships' opinions, because they don't agree with what they're saying. It's very much, this is very much arguing. And it's really, seriously, it's just the same energy over and over and over again that we've been experiencing, but now it's with Venus. So then on Tuesday, the sun comes into a really nice trine with Neptune. And with Neptune being retrograde, Neptune functions better retrograde because Neptune is very much that internal, intuitive, psychic awareness of understanding the energy patterns and the connectivity of all of us, right? So when Neptune is in retrograde, what are we doing here? Knocking stuff over under my desk. So this is a highly creative aspect. It can be lazy. But this is almost like a little bit of a mental holiday. Like, you know, you blow up at somebody and the next day you're like, oh, or somebody blows up at you and you're like, oh, I just need a vacation. I need like to check out for 5 minutes. Now, with the sun in Scorpio on the, you know, during this aspect, this can see our psychic intuition being heightened. Okay. So people don't necessarily associate psychic abilities with intuition, but it's really very similar energy. And so this can see people being very receptive, but perceptively receptive. Does that make sense? Is that even a thing? It's a thing. It's totally a thing. So this with the trine from Neptune, we can actually pick up on energies and undercurrents that are not necessarily being spoken about. We can intuitively understand and read between the lines and understand what someone's not saying, especially with that sun in Scorpio, because Scorpios tend to look at what people are not saying, right? And when you have Neptune in its home sign of Pisces, this ratchets up that collective insight, and you can understand what is going on with people. This paying attention to what is going on this day can yield fantastic information. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you put your mind to, this is also a really good day to really sit in introspection and get a good understanding of your internal world and what's going on there. Like a focused meditation on something. So if you don't know how to do a focused meditation, you can Google it and look it up online. It's really simple. It's different than the I am one with the universe, right? It's not that. It's very much you're sitting and focusing on one specific thing that you want to explore, and it allows your unconscious to unlock. So this aspect on Tuesday with the sun in trine with Neptune can really help you get to that place if you do a focused meditation. With Mercury moving into Scorpio on this day as well, this can be a really good time to do a focused meditation, because Mercury is going to get deep. Mercury is going to want to focus. Mercury, like, this is the mind, okay? So we're going to want to get deep and in all the nitty gritties of what's going on beneath the surface. If I can speak today. Jeez, Shanna. So the next aspects we're going to have is Thursday. So on the 12th, we have Jupiter and Pluto coming into their last conjunction of the year. Thank goodness it's going to be done with. So over the course of this last year, with Pluto and Jupiter coming into a conjunction, let's see, when was it here? I wrote it down. April and June. So the beginning of April and the end of June is when they came into their first two conjunctions. This is the final pass. This is it. However, if we look at this time frame and we see what happened and what went on, we see that the redistribution of wealth was massive. And those people that are in the higher echelons, those billionaires, I mean, I think even one of them became a trillionaire, and I want to say it was Jeff Bezos, like trillionaire. And then I read recently that he just sold some Amazon stocks for $3 billion. Again, I can't talk. What the heck? So, oh, I know why. So I am filming this as Mercury is coming into a square with Saturn for the final time. There we go. That's why I can't talk. I'm having a hard time getting the words out, which is just funny. So think back to what was happening on a personal level at the beginning of April and the end of June, and what you encountered, what you had to revisit and think about, and now what it is that you have an understanding of that you can move forward with this conjunction. And how this plays out individually is just as important as how it plays out in the collective at large. So think back again to these two time frames. And for me, I know it seems like it's a lifetime ago, because this summer really feels like we lived like 10 years in just a few months. And, you know, this aspect, though, we can see definitely more redistribution of wealth. And just try to think back to that time of the beginning of April and the end of June. And I mean, Pluto is very obsessive. Pluto is very focused. Pluto is very much about that power and control. And Jupiter just in general expands on that energy. So, you know, this is the billionaires aspect of Jupiter conjunct Pluto and the Bloombergs and Gates and Bezos of the world. So wherever this aspect is happening in your chart, as a transit, you can utilize Pluto's laser focus and obsessive qualities and Jupiter's expansiveness for your advantage, right? So you can definitely ratchet up what it is you're doing moving forward, you know, get a better understanding of where it is in your chart and what that house means. And if you need help with that, by all means, my email is below in the description box. You can hit me up and we can take a look at it if you'd like. Or you can go to my website and order a natal reading. So on Friday the 13th, which, by the way, people should not be afraid of, because 13 is the number of the feminine. 13 is the number of, you know, the goddess. It's also associated with the moon cycles of the year. Every year we have 13, either 13 new moons or 13 full moons in a year. So Friday the 13th, it's also Venus's day. Friday is the day of Venus. So 13 is again that feminine aspect. So there's a lot that we can dive into just on that day, but I think it's kind of interesting that Mars is actually stationing to go direct on that day. Maybe a little prelude as to what's going to be happening in terms of the feminine principle. So finally, he's direct, right? He's going direct. So it will take him a little bit to really start moving forward and pick up speed. And honestly, this is what we've been waiting for. I mean, it just seems like Mars has been retrograde for such a long time. So think back to August when Mars came into his shadow period of retrograde motion. Where is it that you started to reevaluate something in your life? Where is it that you really, either you initiated something and now you're rethinking it, or something has happened and you're going to have to revise what you're doing, okay? Something that maybe you thought you were passionate about, maybe you're not passionate about it anymore. And so what conclusions have you come to as Mars moves direct and goes through and then exits Aries? Where is it in your life that you were pursuing something that now you have to decide whether or not this is truly what you want to be doing? Because Mars is about passion, Aries is about passion, it's where we get fired up about things. And so, you know, you have to decide, did you get deeper with it even? Did you decide, oh no, you know what, this is really what I want to be doing, and you just dove in head first and you're like, this is what I'm doing, okay? So maybe you've just needed to change up how you're doing things. That's all. So then on Saturday, we have the sun coming into a sextile with that Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, still active. It will be active for, you know, a couple of weeks. So where is it? And I'm going to put this out there for people to think about. Where is it when a planet is in sextile? This, I have noticed, tends to be where we partner with people. This is where we tend to utilize other people in partnership to gain a better understanding of something. So, and because it's the sun, it's, you know, that never-ending life-giving force in sextile to Jupiter and Pluto. Where is it that you can dive in and utilize that laser focus of Pluto? Where is it that you can put your energy in partnership with someone else and accomplish? Because it's impossible, but really impossible, if you kind of separate it a little bit and add a little apostrophe, it's I'm possible, okay? So where is it that you can accomplish something in partnership with someone else and focus in and get things done in a short period of time to, you know, get either a business off the ground, you know, get an event planned, or where is it that you can work with other people and really understand yourself psychologically as well, and work in partnership with someone if you have any, you know, mental issues or anything like that going on, or any anxieties and whatnot. So there is that. And then on the next day, we have the new moon in Scorpio and Venus squaring Pluto. Okay, so Venus came off her opposition with Mars, and now she's truly squaring those planets in Capricorn now, with the first square being at 22 degrees of Libra and 22 degrees of Capricorn with Pluto. So she's also in square with Jupiter. That won't come exact until the next day, but you know, we gotta talk about this. So with this new moon in Scorpio, making aspects to Jupiter and Pluto being conjunct, this is really super exciting. So this is something brand new in our lives, right? That we become obsessive and laser focused about, that you kind of merge with what it is that you're doing and lose sight of the grander picture, where you're so focused and heavy in starting this new project or this new career, or, you know, this new thing that's in your life, that you become the thing you're working towards, right? That you completely embody that. And this new moon will bring decisive action and new beginnings to this area of your chart. So use it wisely, use it well. You've been forewarned. So the one thing that I wrote here is that saying, go big or go home. This is one of those times that it's true, because it is, because Jupiter is involved. Go big, go home, right? So be decisive, be focused, and, you know, dive in, because the water's great. And this can see some really great results long term. So wherever this aspect is showing up in your chart, this is where you will achieve what you thought was impossible, because I'm possible, right? So be aware though that this is the last new moon before we hit eclipse season. So technically after this new moon, we are in eclipse season, because we're building to that energy. And eclipses are active several weeks before and several weeks after. I mean, this is a partial lunar eclipse, and it's just past apogee. So I don't think it's going to be as powerful, but that new moon eclipse coming up in December, that's going to be really powerful. So there's also this sense that there's something that we're not quite seeing clearly yet. There's this sense that with the eclipses happening in Gemini and Sagittarius, that there's some aspect of what we're working on that isn't complete, because Jupiter is involved, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and that's where the South Node is currently. So Jupiter is in the mix in terms of surprising things either entering or leaving your life at this point in time. So where Jupiter is, where the nodes are, where the eclipses are, if there's any personal planets that are happening, you know, to be conjunct any of these things, this is where we're going to have surprises. This is where we're going to have upheaval. This is where we're going to have things that are kind of like, whoa, where the hell did that come from? So there's going to be that. So the full picture isn't really going to be complete even with this new moon for some time, because there is information that we're missing at this time. There's things that can be eclipsed, you know, moving into this eclipse season, and just, you know, be patient. All will be revealed, right? So the unexpected and the unusual will surprise you, throw you some curveballs. Just make sure that you're staying safe and you're doing what you need to do. So I am breaking this up into two parts. So this initial forecast is just a general overview of the energy. Watch out either tonight or tomorrow for all 12 signs. And we're going to be going over this new moon in sextile to Pluto and Jupiter, with Venus in square to Pluto as well. So I just want everyone to be aware that it is going to be broken up this week, now that you've gotten to this part of it. Because I am out of time, unfortunately. there have been some crazy, crazy things happening in my household, hiccups and things like that. So I've been having a really hard time getting the videos done over the last couple of weeks, just because of all this, how all this crazy energy is hitting my chart specifically. So this is going to be broken up 2 videos. So I will see you soon. So I hope you all have a great time and watch out for all 12 signs forecasts.